talk about that a little later. Sevan, Rod, welcome. What's up, Sevan?
Well, first of all, I was already saying to everybody, I need to figure out where all the language is stored.
Yeah.
Because I'm so excited for this evening. Like the energy was so high. It's always like that. There's no feeling, when, it's about to be big and you're right in the beginning of it. Right. And for sure, I don't think you can really be in this space without knowing who Rod is. Like I'm a fan from the early videos. Like you could tell when there's that Gnosticism where somebody is really just tapped in and just going to give it to you as it is. And we can always respect that. And also, it's that time, we're rolling into 2025. We need to really be bundling it up well together because we're building something. It's already built, right? And it's getting bigger. And, we want to make sure that everybody is maintained and managed, growing. Everybody's different. So each person is a unique key to a unique door. And, it's these type of way showers here that are bringing in them potent, masters for masters, I call it. We all gain something from each other and add that to that collective that we have on this side. But on the other side, we all dialed in anyway because we're all the same thing. And that's just the beauty of, how synchronicity works. So I'm honored to be here. I'm always going to come in doing my best, looking forward to moving me out the way. I just know it's going to be lit. So however long it takes, I know people are excited. They love to see us coming together too. So I'm feeling the energy, like I said. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Brother Rich, you glowing over there. By the way, I want you to know that your inner light is on. That between your wife and the new baby, you glowing.
The new baby. I got a new baby, y'all. I got a new baby. So listen, and I'm glad you mentioned that because that's gonna lead. We gonna get this thing. We gonna start running fast breaks immediately during this show, y'all. We ain't gonna waste no time getting right into it. Rod talked about I just had a new baby. I just had a daughter, right? So check this out. This show we're talking about, it's called the Holy Costume. We got this costume that we're wearing. It's not really who we are, but we're wearing it, and we're pretending to be something, and we're experiencing this realm or whatever. A lot of general questions about spirituality and ancient history. We're gonna start out because Rod mentioned my daughter. We're gonna start out like this, gentlemen. So there's a lot of times when, let's say, I'm gonna use Michael Jackson for an example. We'll see Michael Jackson, and then we'll see a picture of a pharaoh, and we'll be like, "Yo, Mike, look just like that pharaoh. What the hell?" I mean, the nose, everything, the face, the hair, it might just look just like that, and everybody knows what image pretty much I'm talking about because it's all over the internet. But there's countless examples. We may see somebody in Brazil. As a matter of fact, the dude from American God, they say, "Yo, Sevan look just like that nigga. Oh my God, he looked just like Bomar." Then we may see Rod, and we may see somebody in, let's say Brazil or Africa, South Africa. Be like, "Yo, is that Rod Hayes? Oh, that got to be Rod Hayes." So we're always seeing people who look just like somebody else. So saying that to say this, my daughter came out looking like my mother, and it was spooky. I was like, "Oh shit!" Like how she looked like my mother. Like it was like, because my girl is dark skinned, but my mother's light skinned with green eyes. My daughter came out light skinned with green eyes. I'm like, how the hell did my girl produce this baby? But so with that being said, we compare life to a video game. In a video game, a lot of times you have a certain amount of characters you could pick from to play from that video game. So I want to ask y'all, in this game we call life, is there a certain amount of characters that we could pick from? And this is why Sevan looks like him. My daughter looks like her. Rod looks like him. I look like him, because there's only a limited amount of characters that we could pick from. So occasionally there's going to be a character that reappears throughout history. It looks like time travel, but it's really not. But it's just that we can only pick a selected amount of characters in this game we call life.
I'm gonna let Sevan go first.
And that one right there, that could be the whole show right there.
Oh man!
Because look, let me just drive over it, and then Rod is gonna come in and ride through it, and then we'll see where we get to. So right away, I'm thinking we're gonna go high level occult right away, and then we'll make it back to the surface later on, right? So we know for sure in this particular space and time there are archetypical beings, and in many ways, like even, you know, all of us could be brothers and sisters if you start looking at us really deeply, even on this line. But what happens is that you have bigger energies also that influence whole tribes. This is why you go to different tribes and you see everybody be looking like brother and sister. You know, it's not just a genetic thing. There's also a soul there, right? And so the more that that soul is mixed, in that way, more characters are available. But here is one thing that I want to point out, which was this, because I'm coming in with receipts all the time now, because, you know, we going heavy duty. Okay, like, you know, it's setting up for it to be a glorious year. So this particular work, Wombs and Alien Spirits, really go deep at, I got something in my throat, but really go deep at just the reality that our ancestors actually lined up the birth of the children they were bringing in with the star based on the characteristic of the star. And we're always really looking to invite certain energies in because they did often mean more success, more strength, more power. But often the ritual, which was held by the great mothers, was still so complex that failure in that process, in a misfiring of timing, would even equal where the child would be even disturbed, diseased, whatever, and then they would have to work on that child spiritually. So it lets us really see that for sure all of the archetypes themselves are, we could say, quote unquote, in the stars. And then the manifestations of the main characters coming here are really just an act of the genetics and who's, well, actually, we'll say like soul genetics, who's mixing together to actually create this new path that this being is going to walk down, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you're on the journey. You ain't alone, obviously, because you're coming with the DNA. Like I have the same thing with my daughter. She's got the red hair. It's almost like blonde hair like my father's. I didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's skip a generation and then come out the next generation over, right?
Gotcha.
So yeah, I you know, I'm not trying to hog this up though today, man. I just, you know, I wanted to drop mine in.
Indeed, no, we're gonna keep it flowing. No, indeed, my brother. Go ahead, Rod.
So I'm glad he brought up the sequences of DNA, and he connected it to the certain amount of energies and how the women used to line up the birth of the child to the alignment of the stars. That's all what you call esoteric, mostly hermetic doctrine of information, because hermetics primarily deal with genetics. In the genome is like a long radio station or radio receiver. Like you got a whole bunch of channels, right? But in order to get to the channel you want, you have to know how to align the DNA. The alignment comes in through aligning it with a zodiacal constellation. So this is the origin of the zodiac. The women figured out a long time ago, before they made men, that if a woman or a man, back then it was just a masculine energy or feminine energy came in at a certain time based on the winter solstice, summer solstice, and the two equinoxes. You know when they coming in, and you know what energies you are channeling, right? So you hear him say that the prayers of the mother is answered through the womb. Well, what was your mama praying for when she was gestating you? Because she was programming your DNA. Because they told her she was praying for an outcome in life, they didn't tell her that when you have a child growing in you and you continuously pray or be in a high stated negative emotion, either way, which is ultimate calm or ultimate chaos, that's going to mold your child. Okay. This is part of the sciences that we teach the doulas about when they instructing the mothers to give them back this information that we talking about. So what the mother is doing by bloodline is they literally dialing in the sequence on the genome. And this is when you start getting, it's only so many facial structures, is 7 specific or key or root facial structures. So it's 7 to the 7th power of 7, right? Which is a 777 genome materialization, which means that each one of them sevens have 7 options to the 7th power of expression, right? So now, if people are constantly being born, dying, you recycling or opening up frequency stations. The frequency stations is calibrated from a star system and a specific point in the sky at a specific time of the year. So you bring in somebody under the zodiacal sign of Cancer, born under this bloodline, O positive, O negative, coming from this geography, the Americas, right? Born in this metropolis, Chicago, right? On this day, 10th of November, you dialing in and tuning in the child. And the genome is matching it up like a radio station matches up a frequency. If it doesn't align, that frequency can't express itself in the 3D world because you can't express yourself where you're not at. Right? So in the understanding of how genetics work, right? And like Sevan brought up how his father's blind hair skipped him and went to his daughter. Right? That's called a heritable cross-family flip from the fatherland to the next motherland. And his daughter's mother is okay in her daughter's DNA to receive the inheritance of the father. They call them daddy's girls. Blue house. Right? Mama's girls is red house. That means they straight direct descended down the motherland. They don't give a F about the fatherland's heritable rights over they mama's heritable rights. This is what we fight in these wars is being fought under those two pretenses. Gender heritability is the cause of all war on earth. And the people that's sending everybody to war is not telling them what bloodlines is fighting who. All this is relevant. Barack Obama is a clone of Akhenaten.
I heard that.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah. So the boys from Brazil, everybody thought that the Nazis was cloning Adolf Hitler. They wasn't cloning him. Go back and watch where the Thule Society sent the Nazi regime. And when you see where they sent them primarily 2 places, the Himalayas, led by Rubens, I think it was. And then they sent them into Egypt. Why? Those are the 2 oldest temple complexes. And so when they got the information, it gave them the genetic download information and the chemical formula to clone a human being that they wasn't supposed to have. And the first thing they thought that Tupac is Tut, so in order to stop him from ruling, we got to reincarnate his father so he can pull rank. But we got to program him where he only worked for us. An antichrist. One who's coming to seize the throne that doesn't belong to him from the rightful heir. Right? A usurper. A Jacobite. And then you get to where we at now.
I want to build in right on that because you know, I don't know what's going on here tonight. All I know is we all going. Okay. So check it out in the queue to corroborate exactly what he's saying.
Yes, sir.
Is to still remember
what's going on here.
What you would say is quote unquote melanated heraldry. This is Charlemagne. This is obviously James.
Who, King James? That's King James?
I'm just rolling them across, right? And they got the names on them.
All right.
But we have to remember that they actually went against the Moors, right? So this wouldn't be like you would just go on one side and just be like, oh, it's all black people on one side and white people on one side. No, that's where the confusion comes in because we had quote unquote black people joining in with not just Europeans, but also Germans to fight against the Moors in the Crusades, right? And to me, that still makes up the missing link, because then once the war is fought, and then what we're saying now is Christianity is ruling the day, the rulers, or in this case, black nobility, are then double crossed. And then the empire gets switched. Everything gets what they call technocracy or iconoclast. Yes, everything gets iconoclast when you change the pictures and the colors of everybody that was involved. And then it becomes this huge missing link where people are still trying to figure out, like, well, what exactly, what happened to the spirituality, and what, whose side it was on. And it just becomes almost like a good or bad, or black or white, when it's way more deeper than that. That this is like you're entering a bar on Star Wars, and you got all of these different characters, families, and sometimes you got to be the fly on the wall too, because a lot of these families were literally confronted with, as families even in Syria and everything right now are confronted with, are you with Assad? No, hell no, I ain't with Assad. But was walking the other day with Assad. You see what I mean? Meaning that it comes time for, by threat of life, someone will say, hey, did you believe in this? That's why I say, so some Jews a lot of Jews became Christians when it's like, hey, was y'all with him? No, we ain't with him. But then, of course, also to remember that King James set up Jamestown, which was a colony, of course, inside the United States, but that also was infringing on Indian territory. And many of those Indians was why your grandma used to say, hey, some of those Indians don't like us either, because they already knew what was also going on in the end of the dynasty. And that's one of the things that I believe that we all have to make sure that we remember is that when you're seeing something at the end, something, life existence always runs this cycle. It's got to plan to take everybody through the whole process to see how you endure. So if you're only judging things based on the end, that's going to be a little one-sided. It's like not really looking at something when it's new and when it's fresh.
It's an excellent point.
Yes. And then we've learned a lot, is what I'm saying.
Well, with those pictures you showed, and you showed King James and the Pope, I gotta ask y'all this. So, all right, I could ask 30 different scholars a question about you show King James about Jesus, right? I'll get 30 different answers. They all might have an aspect of truth to them. So there was a quote unquote debate that went viral with Billy Carson and Wes Huff. And one of the I didn't even get around to watching the whole thing, but one of the things that went viral was a discussion on Jesus and